In this video, we're going to talk about how you can use different event triggers and event handlers to carry out certain or execute certain code within our Windows Form application. Now, generally, when we kind of double click on a button to code it, what you'll find is that a sub-procedure will get created called button one click, which handles the click of button one in terms of it actually executes a bit of code which is in between these two lines here. Right, now if I just make that a little bit bigger so we can see it. Now at the top I can see where it says button one, so it's actually referring to that particular object. There are other objects on my form, including a text box, and and basically this is set to work on if a click takes place. Now if I actually want to code my button so when the cursor is just hovered over there to actually carry something out, then I need to build another sub procedure on the button, but I want it to handle the trigger of mouse hover. And what you'll see is then another sub procedure gets picked out, and this time it's handling the button being hovered over by the mouse. So now I'm ready to actually code these in order to do something. So the idea is when I click on the button, it will close down the application, it will stop the project running. But I actually want to warn the user with a mouse hover sub procedure using the text box, that is to say, this will close the application, which will appear here in the text box. So first things first, I want to code the button for when it is then clicked. It will then close down the application, and that's the bit of code there for him, and nothing's become underlined, so I'm basically happy now that that looks as if it's going to do what it's going to do. And when the mouse actually hovers over the button before the user clicks on it, I want the user to be aware that it will close down the application. So in the text box, I'm just going to say this will close the app. And again, if I click away, it looks like everything's fine with that. And now if I run that, and we'll test if it works basically. So as I hover over this, you can see that within the text box, there's a little bit of a delay. That text then appears. And if I click on it, it then closes the application and brings us back to this. Now, one thing I noticed then, when I actually took the mouse off the button, that message still appeared inside it. So I'm going to use another sub procedure. And this one's going to be mouse leave as a trigger. So mouse leave here. And again, another sub procedure gets picked out. And I want the text box to well, actually, I'm just saying dot clear. I think I spelled clear wrong, right? So dot clear I can use just by double clicking on that, right? And I can see it puts the brackets in there for me. So this time, if I run it again, when I hover over the button, when it appears, it will say this will close the app, and then as soon as I take the cursor off it, it will then actually set it so it's empty to just make me aware that this is the object which is going to close the application. You can, as well as a button, you can basically do the same thing with anything. So you can actually have it so the text box could be clicked on or double clicked on or whatever it is which might appear here. But sometimes you actually want to change something about the form, like if the form is moved, if it's resized, you might want something to pop up or a color to change then in some respects. So you can also do the same for forms. Now, just the reason why I'm going over this one in particular is because if you use form 1, you'll see that what we're looking for actually doesn't appear there. So it's actually form 1 events you choose, and then when you come to the declarations, you can see then all the things you can actually decide on. So for example, resizing of the form, you might have something appearing here where a message box appears saying please don't resize the form. Or if I'm doing one which moves the form, it could be again a message or message box which appears up saying you're not allowed to move the form, leave it alone, that kind of thing. Okay, so basically that's how to use different event handlers and different event triggers.